Shrimad is divine grace, founder of ISKCON, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki. Their most merciful Lordship Shri Shri Harakunja Bihari ki. Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra ki. Shri Nathaji Shri Balagopal ki. Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki. Nitai Go Prem. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the Lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 25. Is that right? 25?
Yes.
Tathayam Chavataras Te Tathayam Chavataras Te Bhuvo Para Jihirsaya Bhuvo Para Jihirsaya Swanam Chananya Bhavanam Swanam Chananya Bhavanam Anudyanaya Chaskrit Anudyanaya Chasakrit Tathayam Chavataraste Bhuvo Bara Jihirsaya Swanam Chananaya Bhavanam Anudyanaya Chasakrit Tathayam Chavataraste Bhuvo Bara Jihirsaya Swanam Chananya Bhavanam Anudyanaya Chasakrit Tathayam Chavataraste Bhuvo Bara Jihirsaya Swanam Chananya Bhavanam Anudyanaya Chasakrit Tathayam Chavataraste Bhuvo Bara Jihirsaya Swanam Chananya Bhavanam Anudyanaya Chasakrit Tata thus I am this Cha and Avatara incarnation Te your Bhuva of the material world Bara burden Jihirsaya for removing Swanam of the friends Chananya Bhavanam and of the exclusive devotees Anandayanaya for remembering repeatedly Cha and Asakrit fully satisfied. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees, and are wrapped in meditation upon you. Please repeat. Thus you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are wrapped in meditation upon you. Thus you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are wrapped in meditation upon you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It appears that the Lord is partial to His devotees. Everyone is related with the Lord. He is equal to everyone, and yet He is more inclined to His own men and devotees. The Lord is everyone's Father. No one can be his father, and yet no one can be his son. His devotees are his kinsmen, and his devotees are his relations. This is his transcendental pastime. It has nothing to do with mundane ideas of relations, fatherhood, or anything like that. As mentioned above, the Lord is above the modes of material nature, and thus there is nothing mundane about his kinsmen and relations in devotional service. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshusunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So it says that the Lord is equal to everyone. But everyone's not on the same level, because everyone didn't come here on the same time. Everybody didn't come here for the same reason. Everybody didn't come here with the same intent in their heart. So everybody being at a different level, Krishna treats everyone equally on the level that they are on, according to the level that they are on. So the same way he's executing punishment to one soul who is engaged in a certain activity, he's offering to reward to another one who is taking part in a different kind of activity. So we see that if they traded places, they would both be experiencing the same thing that they are. But because they are taking part in different activities, then they are getting a different result. But all these are already set by the laws of nature. So when Krishna brings his friends here, they come to help him. And the job is beyond the scope of any human being to be able to bring liberation to every single soul in the universe. This is what Murari Gupta was praying for, Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is why Srila Prabhupada calls him even more magnanimous than the soul being called Jesus Christ. Why? Because Jesus Christ, the person they call Jesus Christ, I don't like to call him Jesus Christ because his name is Usha. But he said, those that believe on me, though they would die, they would have eternal life. But Murari Gupta wasn't of that nature. It wasn't that anybody who believed on him would come to the knowledge of Krishna. So his prayer was that if it could be possible for the sins of the entire universe to be put upon him so that all these other souls could come to the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, whether they believed or not. So this is pointing out the nature of the devotee's heart. The soul they call Jesus Christ, also being a devotee of the Supreme Person. But just as we are limited in our ability to reach people according to their faith, so we can give people knowledge, but they are only willing to accept the amount that they're able to believe in, you might say. So just like yesterday I was pointing out, when Srila Prabhupada started speaking about the universe to the devotees from Bhagavatam, a lot of devotees left the movement, putting more trust in the instruments of human beings than in the declarations of the Supreme Person who put all these things in place to begin with. I've been wanting to perform this. It's not really an experiment, just to perform a measurement. Because if you know the two angles of a triangle, that's all you need to know the distance of all three sides, right? By knowing the angles. So you have one devotee over in one place, and 100 feet away, you have another devotee. Then they both look at the sun. And then you take those two angles, and by algebraic calculations, you can determine, by knowing how the distance is between the 2 points, you have 100 feet, and you have two angles. That's all you need to know. But because we are under illusion, and we are on the planet that in its relationship to the sun is constantly changing, plus the fact that we are looking through, I don't know how many trillions and trillions of gallons, quadrillions, octillions, the galleons of water between here and the sun and between here and the moon, which also gives us a misleading observation. And so, not knowing how to make up for those constellations, the only real knowledge we can have is that one who was there and actually knows the size and length and breadth of it can actually tell us what it is. And that's what Krishna is revealing to us. But it would still nevertheless be interesting. Maybe one of these days we get a measuring stick, just go 100 feet apart and measure the angles. We could do that. It would be very easy to do, just to see what we come up with. If we come up with the same thing the modern scientists come up with. See, in this modern day and age, we could have a person on this continent look at the sun and note the angle, drawing a line directly to, say, someone in London, England, right? Then we would know how many thousands of miles that is, and it would be much more accurate. But calculations are the same, it would seem like, whether you have one side 100 miles or one side 100 feet. The computations are the same. You still have to multiply the algebraic computations the same way. So it seems feasible that you would come up with the same answer both ways, right? If, in fact, it is a valid means
Yeah,
of...
but what happens when the distance is smaller, you'll have to precisely measure the angle.
You have to what?
Precisely measure the angle, because the small alterations in the angle
Can make a big
Big
difference,
difference.
especially when it's a million miles away.
Yes.
Yeah. So see, that's the same thing with devotional life as well. Every day we're engaging in activities that are not quite reaching pure love of God, which is our aim. From one perspective, you could say if we keep on going off the target, by the time the end of our life, we'll be way off. But because of Krishna's mercy covering us every day, it is the fact that he is accepting that we are making advancement. So we can know that in the same way, Krishna is protecting us, even though we're not meeting the mark. We're not making the mark. Now, when we might be more than 1 degree off, but Krishna is making up for that. So the same way we have to take into perspective our own abilities to see 100% in the universe and realize that Krishna is giving this to us to help us understand where we are situated doesn't allow us to make accurate calculations. That's what it is. And so we may see far as near and near as far because of the fact, first, our senses are imperfect. Then we're on a planet that in relationship to the sun is constantly changing. So it just seems reasonable to take the words of Krishna as truth. With everything else he's revealing, in every other statement he's making about the truth, and we can test all those statements and know by following the instructions he's giving us, that these words he's speaking are true. We look at nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. Krishna says, "Oh my dear Krishna," Arjuna says to Krishna, "I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purush, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. O Scion of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge." That is my opinion. So this that Krishna is pointing out, to understand this body and its knower. That is the key. If they don't know Krishna, they are not going to come up with the same conclusions. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. That knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. These five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered, in summary, to be the field of activities and its interactions. And as we see from this description, this is everything we are using to make determinations about the universe, the size of it, the relationship. And every one of these things are faulty and given to change. Humility, pridelessness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of evil of birth, of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever there may be, is ignorance. And that, besides, is everything they're searching for, besides that. So Krishna is delineating how to find knowledge, and how they are delineating how to find knowledge is completely the opposite. They are promoting the idea that we study the material energy in order to determine the nature of the material energy. But Krishna is saying he is the highest knowledge and giver of knowledge, and to know him then gives us knowledge. And see, incorporating this renunciation, we have to see that this is telling us that for the most part, mankind doesn't have it together. Otherwise, why would there be such a need to be renounced from all these people? If all these people have full knowledge, then we should be encouraged to connect with them. Isn't that? But no. He's telling us we need to be aloof from the society at large because of the fact that they have rejected him. He is not going to allow them to be able to see properly anything. Even though, based on their own conclusions made by the imperfect senses, they believe they have found perfection in their application of medicine, psychology, construction of buildings, all these things. And if you will note, if you go to college, every year they got new books. They got to replace the books. The ISKCON movement has been established since 1967, I believe it was. And we have not changed our books. They remain the absolute truth, which is the meaning of absolute truth. It's not changing every day. It's absolute because it is true always. And it remains the truth. So, also without this renunciation then, and with desire, this desire is the motivating factor of most people in the world. They want to fulfill their desires, and what their desires are is not necessarily the desires of the Supreme Person. So by separating themselves from Krishna, they make themselves aloof from Krishna's truth, from Krishna's words, and from the understanding Krishna is giving to us about why renunciation. And renunciation is not necessary in the spiritual world. Everybody there is realized. But they have already renounced everything in the material. God, there is no material there. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Let me repeat that. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Now, if they are giving us knowledge of what they believe to be true knowledge, we should be receiving understanding of the eternal. Yet we do not see the same being given by so-called scientists. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the supersoul exists, pervading everything. So the same supersoul, when we describe Krishna as that all-pervading aspect of Krishna's personality, how can we say, imbibing or inhabiting the entire universe, we're saying the same about the supersoul that is with us. So the same entity that we are calling Krishna, who is in every single atom in the universe, is the same personality sharing this body with us and having knowledge of everything in this universe. Well, this is why we take Krishna's knowledge as truth. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although he is far, far away, he is also near to all. So he simultaneously every single aspect we can conceive of with the mind as far as God. His all-pervading aspect, his constantly present aspect, his all-powerful aspect, his all-knowing aspect. This is all one person. Just think about that. Knowing everything and everybody. Although the Supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, he's never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge, and he is situated in everyone's heart. Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. What does that mean? Attain to my nature? So those devotees in the spiritual realm that are with Krishna, they have the same kind of body he does. I had a dream one time and saw spiritual living entities in this dream. To even touch them, your whole body was filled with a kind of energizing force that nothing in this world is the equivalent to. And then to see, when you can look upon Krishna's own body, whether you know it or not, you're looking upon the substance of eternity. The real substance that is eternal. Something that our eyes are not in this world capable of being able to do unless Krishna gives us the eyes to be able to see. And it is because he does that he's making the declaration that his devotees do have full knowledge of him. And he gives to his devotees that surrender to him the knowledge they need to carry on. It is his movement. This Krishna consciousness movement is Krishna's movement. And with all power in his hands, then, he gives to his devotees that necessary for them to continue this process, for all the living beings to become free. All the living beings in the universe. That's Krishna's plan. Now, all of us that are manifested now are not the totality of the living beings in the material universe. In fact, there are more unmanifested forms, if we can imagine that in our minds. If every male human being is carrying more than 1 billion living entities, seeds, potential human beings, but out of one close to 1 billion, normally only one is born. But see how many unmanifested yet lives have not even had the opportunity to be revealed what form they're going to take. So when we say the universe, even then we're talking about a very small, tiny, minuscule amount of living entities that are at this particular point in history manifesting. But there are more than millions of times more living entities unmanifest, yet to be manifest. So this is how this thing goes on and on and on and on and on. Seems reasonable. Well, I don't know. All those living entities in Krishna's body. I don't know that they are ever all manifest or all, sent into the material universe. Because Krishna's not impotent. So he retains, even though he distributes seeds to every universe, he still retains seeds within him. Just imagine how many souls there are. It's just beyond the mind to be able to even count how many universes there are. And then when we look at this being the smallest, I don't know that you can have a smaller universe than the one we have. And yet unlimited manifest living entities. So much so that a human being can't even count how many there are. And this is just one little tiny universe. And Krishna's plan is to take them all back. You don't normally undertake a purpose or a duty that you don't think you can complete, right? You wouldn't want to do something you didn't think you could complete. So Krishna obviously has a way to eventually deliver all of these souls. But still there is a constant circling. They're falling down, and they're being brought back up. They're falling down and getting back up. So it's like an endless cycle. So there will come a time when the ability to manifest in this material universe will be finished, and it will be all absorbed back into Krishna's body. For as long a time as was made available the ability to manifest. But it's not under the control of the living entity when he can manifest. So we're pretty much controlled by Krishna's laws, whether we want to be or not. So even the people that don't surrender to Krishna, they're still controlled by his laws. And he is revealing how these laws work here. They either do get knowledge or they don't. And if we accredit them with what they think is knowledge, and they're supreme, then we're falling right in the same ditch they're in. So we have to come to the conclusion that Krishna knows better than these so-called scientists do. We have to come face to face with these teachings of Bhagavatam and reason within our mind which teaching is superior. If we're not convinced, we can be swayed. During the 70s, there were so many so-called spiritual movements popping up here and there. They had what was called deprogrammers. Anybody ever heard of a deprogrammer? Okay. The philosophy of the deprogrammers was that people have been brainwashed. They use this term brainwashed, okay? And what they are calling brainwashing is a form of hypnotism that these leading spiritualists had the ability to do to their followers. And there's some truth to this. Because hypnotism is done, first of all, you have to have faith in the person that's going to hypnotize you. But once you give your faith to them, they can take control of your mind. And they can put thoughts into your mind that you wouldn't otherwise have. So what the deprogrammers were doing was putting other thoughts in people's minds to replace those thoughts that had been given to them by the people that they were claiming were brainwashing people or hypnotizing people. Now, one devotee here, Ramananda, he was temple commander when I was here one time. He went from here, went to Hawaii, and became temple president in Hawaii. Very dedicated soul. And always engaged in Krishna's service. Krishna. What was I going to say about Ramananda? Talking about service. Oh, deprogrammers. His parents hired these deprogrammers. Now, these deprogrammers were not cheap. They would charge parents of these children who had been so-called hypnotized or programmed by these cults, they were calling them. They would charge them $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 because they would have to get a professional crew to go find out where the cult was. They have to follow and watch their daily activities to be able to kidnap them. They would actually kidnap people and claim that the organization was kidnapping the kid. Every method they claimed the religions were using, the cults were using against these children, they would use. They would keep these people up all night long till they had no sleep, till they were so tired they would go along with whatever anybody said. Ramananda, they made him eat a hot dog. And while he's in the middle of it, he said, I got to go to the bathroom. Went to the bathroom, spit it out in the toilet, and climbed out of the bathroom window. He's underage. He's like 16 years old or something, still under the guidance of his parents. He ran away and went and came back to the temple. And his parents gave up on him after that. But see, in the heart of a devotee, he may even go through the motions to try and satisfy someone's belief, but you can't take Krishna away from a devotee. It's impossible. You can make him speak words that he can convince you that he has, but irregardless, Krishna is still in the body. He's still sharing the body with the soul, and that can never change. So with Krishna consciousness, the teachings are so complete as to the fact of the super soul sharing the body with every form of life. Devotees, once they realize this, they don't have to be convinced that that's a fact. And so these deprogrammers, as you can see now, there's no such thing even amongst psychologists in these professions. They stopped the act because they were engaging in the very things they were accusing those cults of doing. And they were forcing people to do things against their will. So all these things they accused people of doing in spiritual circles, they themselves are guilty of. This is the same way people look at Krishna. And Krishna was being named by people being accused of things that they were themselves doing. So this is the problem with blaspheming Krishna, blaspheming the name of Krishna, blaspheming devotees, because it puts the soul in a place with Krishna. Krishna has to tell the soul, if you commit an offense against a devotee, you can't go to Krishna to be forgiven of that. You have to go to the devotee to be forgiven of some offense you commit against the devotee. This is what Krishna reveals. So, on the one hand, God's the only one who can forgive sin. But he's established the means of being forgiven of sin also. And so if you commit offense against a devotee, you have to actually go to that devotee and ask forgiveness. Not because you go to Krishna, automatically you're forgiven of that sinful activity. My throat's a little dry and I'm having a hard time. I need to recuperate. It takes me 3 or 4 days after Nirjal to replenish the body fluids that you deprive your body of purposely. Is there any comments, any questions, any realizations, questions? On the one hand, Krishna consciousness is really making life simple for us. On the other hand, it's difficult for people who are not surrendering to see it as simple. They think the simple life is difficult. So all these modern things we consider to be advancements of society, if they don't add to our ability to perform devotional service, if they take away from us what value devotional service has, because people put in their minds, if we engage in these lifestyles of these ancient scriptures, then we have to go back to being primitive people without the advancements of modern technology. What is it?
Question for you.
Yes. Uma? Uma. Oh, what is your question?
How to come out of fear, anxiety, worry, and constantly helpless in other country?
How do we...
Come out of fear, anxiety, worry.
Ah, that's very good, yeah. It's the chanting. Fear and anxiety is caused by not fully understanding Krishna's purpose in our life. So, in our daily activities, if we're constantly thinking about Krishna, that will overcome the fear. But we're not going to be thinking about Krishna or even have the ability to think about Krishna if we haven't trained the mind through chanting the holy names. Because ultimately, the chanting that develops our relationship with Krishna strengthens the faith we have in Krishna, realizing the result we get from the different thought patterns formed in our minds when we do chant. Because that thought pattern, surrendering to Krishna, even though it may seem to be the weakest point in our life, we're surrendering to another power, giving off our own control of our own decisions, of making decisions for ourselves. When you surrender to Krishna, you're actually giving that up, your ability to make your own decisions. So with that comes a protection from Krishna that nobody else gets. And so with this firm relationship being continued with Krishna every morning, every day, continually throughout the day, this will increase within us our faith in Krishna, our trust in Krishna, and our realization. The more we pray to Krishna to help us for the things we have to carry out in our life as our duties and our responsibilities, the more reciprocation Krishna will reveal to us, and the more that will give us the faith and the understanding to be able to overcome those things which normally would cause us fear. But we should not anticipate, we should not anticipate very strongly, I say this 3 times, we should not anticipate disasters, worrying. If we have fear in our hearts, then we have to pray to Krishna, please Krishna, give me strength and my faith in you, because that's what fear is, the absence of complete faith in Krishna. Because you are serving Krishna and he is in control of everything. He has only towards you the desire to help you, to strengthen you, to protect you, and to give you guidance and to give you his knowledge. This is why he speaks Bhagavad Gita, for the sake of humankind to have his knowledge. And with his knowledge comes the absence of fear. We live in fearlessness. Now, because we know everything is under his control, it controls the wind, he controls the rain, he controls our friendships, he controls life and death. He's in control of everything. So when we lose loved ones due to physical conditions in this world, those that we love because they're serving Krishna. And we can know they're carrying on in a more perfect situation now, leaving this body, leaving this realm to that absolute perfection. I hope that answers the question. Does that help?
Uma, does that answer your question?
Jai. Anyone else? Somebody on the internet want to ask a question? That'd be fine. Jai. Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.